You're listening to Systemic Error Podcast. The failure was designed.
Beyond Trump, the competition for worst politician in America just got ruthless, based on an article by Robert Rye. The worst official is the one who turns office into a weapon. This is not a personality contest. The source tries to crown the worst elected official, but that frame already narrows the problem too much. The real issue is met which reactionary is most disgusting on command. It is how institutional power gets converted into grievance, propaganda, voter suppression, and racialized panic. The list matters because it shows the same pattern across offices. People with actual authority using it to make democracy weaker and cruelty more durable. Power has a name. Of the four figures named, Greg Abbott and JD Vance sit closest to real governing power. Abbott runs the state machinery of Texas. Vance is vice president, a national office with direct access to the Trump project and the legitimacy that comes with it. Ken Paxton has used the Texas Attorney General's office as a partisan attack platform. Marjorie Taylor Greene is no longer in Congress, but her influence persists as a megaphone for the same politics of sabotage. That hierarchy matters. Greene traffics in spectacle. Abbott and Paxton turn spectacle into policy. Vance supplies the intellectual varnish for authoritarian loyalty, retrofitting cynicism into principle and calling it seriousness. Deliberate harm, marketed as candor. The source lays out the governing logic clearly enough. Vance defended Nixon by blaming the deep state for Watergate, then admitted he would manufacture stories if media attention was the goal. That is not confusion. That is a confession that falsehood is an acceptable instrument when it serves power. Paxton's record is cleaner in a political sense and dirtier in a moral one. Securities fraud charges, impeachment over donor favoritism and abuse of office, participation in Trump's election sabotage, and relentless lawfare against the Biden administration. Abbott has used the governor's office to harden Texas into a laboratory of exclusion, abortion bans, anti-DEI laws, anti-voting restrictions, anti-immigrant spectacle, and open hostility to public health measures and climate science. These are not side effects, they are the program. The misdirection works because it is repeated. The article correctly names extremism, but it still leaves room for a familiar dodge. The idea that these figures are merely outrageous outliers. They are not. They are the elected face of a broader coalition that rewards nativism, suppresses turnout, and treats institutional power as a license to punish enemies. Abbott shipping undocumented immigrants to Washington, D.C. Paxton filing suit after suit to harass a Democratic administration. Vance laundering conspiracy and resentment into national authority. Greene spreading anti-Semitic, Islamophobic, and white supremacist material while promoting election lies. This is a coordinated political style, not a series of personal quirks. The Democrats' job is not to marvel at the damage. The source asks voters to name the worst official. The better question is why these officials are still viable inside a system that keeps handing them microphones, offices, and levers of coercion. Democrats do not need to imitate the extremism to beat it, but they do need to stop treating it as merely embarrassing behavior. It is strategic sabotage, plain and simple. Suppress the vote, delegitimize opponents, flood the zone with lies, and normalize governing through fear. A Democratic coalition cannot afford to respond with etiquette while the other side is building a politics of permanent exception. The pattern beneath the menagerie. The common thread here is not just cruelty, it is the use of public office to convert minority rule into durable domination. Vance, Paxton, Greene, and Abbott each show a different version of the same tactic: discredit truth, inflame identity panic, and make institutions serve the people who want them least accountable. That is how authoritarian politics arise in a democracy that still calls itself one. You've been listening to Systemic Error. Thanks to Alternet for today's article, with the automated voice of Ryan. Thanks for listening.